We've been doing it now for 15 or 16 years. It's working very well. People are very happy with it. I mean, it's nice to have people back on the land, working land, and everybody's more than happy to be doing it. We've developed a system of fertility building which relies very much on green manures, so we're using plants to produce nutrients which are fixed from the air to improve biodiversity, and not relying on importing somebody else's land to support our fertility, which is what most conventional and organic production is dependent on. So we've kind of designed this system which is more or less independent of exterior forces. And because we're building carbon in the soil, this is particularly important. And a very small increase in organic content in the soil has a huge effect in terms of carbon entrapment. In fact, this is one of the biggest carbon sinks possible, soil. So it's not only good for animals, it's also very good for carbon capture, which is obviously good for climate change. So we're building organic material, and the only way to build organic material long term is through plants. You cannot do it through manure, because manure dissipates into the environment very quickly, it gets broken down. Whereas plants, they leave roots in the ground, which gradually decay and become carbon. In here there's actually 4 different types of green manure, 4 different plants, all doing slightly different things. But all building fertility, and the final outcome of this is a soil which is very friable, good population of worms, easily worked, doesn't take as much energy to work soil when it's in good condition, and very good for plant roots. So this forms the basis of fertility for future cropping.
For future cropping,
yeah. We grow a whole range of crops, 70 different types of vegetables. Almost 300 sowings a year, almost 1 sowing every day on average. So it's making the best possible use of land to feed people, which is really what farming should be doing. And I do very much hope that there will be a move, a transition from the conventional type of agriculture we have now to a stock-free agriculture in the future.
Right, okay. Thanks a lot. See you again.
Welcome, see you later.
Stock-free farming could support people in developing countries as well as here. The same techniques would be beneficial. We would actually not use the vast amounts of water, land, food to support the livestock. We would actually create more tree habitats, making a difference with climate change.
It's been interesting looking at the way the environmental debate has developed. I mean, initially people thought carbon emissions, that's about the energy we use in our homes, or it's about the amount we drive or the amount we fly. But increasingly people have realised that food and the environment are so closely interconnected, and there's been a growing amount of research which is saying actually the way we eat and what we throw away is having a significant impact on the environment. Every step of the journey from the field to your plate is creating carbon. It could be anywhere as high as sort of 18% of greenhouse gas emissions is caused by the meat and dairy products we eat. Compare that, say, with the aviation sector, which is only 2%. So, you know, there's a tenfold difference between the aviation sector and the food sector.
We only have one planet, and it's a defined size. There's only a certain amount of arable land, and a lot of that's being increasingly degraded through animal agriculture. These, in Australia, certainly hard-hooved animals and many other parts of the world are degrading the quality of the land, and we need to be very careful with the way we farm in order to make sure that that land is there to sustain us for future generations. Cattle in many countries in the world outnumber the people. The cattle themselves produce a lot of waste, they require a lot of land. Methane is produced from them, which is a huge contributor to global warming, one of the most significant. And for every kilo of meat, an increasing proportion of dung goes onto the land. In the US, as the FAO report says, that's one of the primary causes of water table pollution. In the Amazon, the vast majority of deforestation is being used for cattle farming, and much of the remaining is for soya protein, which is used as cattle food. So without this relentless drive to produce more meat, which is a high profit product, we would have more Amazon, which has been called the lungs of the world. In addition to its contribution to climate change, you have to look at species loss. You have to look at the native people who live there and so on. The number of birds, the number of animals that live in a given area of forest are essentially wiped out by it being converted to forms of agriculture. it's like someone going into the Louvre in France and just smashing it up. I mean, it's mindless and it's just so unnecessary, and we're destroying something that can't be replaced. There are a host of things we could do that will have a really significant effect on climate change as a society. Things that we're looking at are things like transport, our energy supply, and then you have the way we use animals. Given that global livestock production is causing more greenhouse gas emissions than all forms of transport put together, I think we're confronted with a question: do we totally re-engineer our energy and transport systems, or do we just give up eating what I think are often unhealthy and cruel products? There's also the case of fish stocks. Most of the major ways in which fish are caught are fairly unsustainable. We have things like drift net fishing, which is completely indiscriminate and catches every sort of fish in the ocean. Then you have trawling, which trawls the ocean's floor, reducing plant biodiversity, destroying reefs. People often say that fish farming is a sustainable option, but actually an even greater number of fish are required to be caught from the wild in order to feed those fish. I have a number of friends who say, well, what if we raised animals in a more ethical manner? The Omnivore's Dilemma is a very famous book where that's his conclusion, is that he can move to the country and raise his own chickens and his own animals. It's a lovely concept if you like the taste of meat, but it's just not going to sustain 6 billion people and growing, which is the world's current population.
I've always been a vegetarian my whole life, so I've always respected animals to an extent. My boyfriend challenged me to become a vegan because he's done the vegan challenge for a month, and I was inspired, so I went into it with full enthusiasm, and I got all the benefits. I felt good about myself, I got lots of vitality, I lost weight as well, and I'm proud of myself, and I'm more than anything proud of the fact that no animal is harmed by what I eat. And that's what I think veganism is about, living in harmony with everybody.
Our thinking about non-human animals is very confused, and people that have chosen to lead a cruelty-free, plant-based lifestyle are baffled as to why other people have not made the connection. Many of us live with companion animals such as dogs, cats and rabbits. We share our homes with them, consider them members of the family, and we grieve when they die. Yet we kill and eat other animals that, if you really think about it, are no different from the ones we love. This is known as speciesism, a prejudice against members of different species. Most people don't question their habit of eating animals as they've been brought up to believe it's normal behaviour, but causing suffering should never be considered normal. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, humans kill approximately 56 billion animals for food each year, and this doesn't include fish. This quantity can only be achieved by factory farming animals, which can lead to diseases such as bird flu, swine flu, BSE and MRSA. Antibiotic-resistant microbes are the result of the overuse of antibiotics. Over half the antibiotics in the UK are given to farmed animals, not humans, and farmed animal diseases can spread to humans. Behind windowless walls, it's easy to turn a blind eye to the horrific reality of factory farms and slaughterhouses. You may think this footage is old, that things are not like this anymore. Wrong. This is exactly what it's like, and what happens to the farmed animals who live outside is not too dissimilar. Free-range chickens will usually be slaughtered for meat at 8 weeks and organic at around 12 weeks. People see cattle and sheep grazing in fields and think they're okay, but they'll also be sent to slaughter like all animals bred for food. Factory farmed and free-range animals are treated as commodities, and their individual needs or preferences are not respected. And it's not just to produce meat. Every year, millions of farmed calves and chicks die in order to produce milk and eggs. Male chicks don't produce eggs and are not profitable for meat production, so are killed the day they are born. And laying hens, when their egg production starts to fall, are also killed long before their normal life expectancy. It's no fun for cows either. In order to produce milk, the dairy cow must give birth to a calf. As soon as the calf is born, they form a strong bond with their mother. Yet within a few days, they are usually separated, causing extreme distress. Male calves do not produce milk and are usually shot at birth or sent for veal production, and the female calves are added to the milk production line like their mothers. 3 months after the loss of her calf, while still producing milk, she is usually made pregnant again. She's put through this exhausting procedure 3 or 4 times until she too is deemed redundant and killed. More than 20% of dairy cows sent to slaughter have been found to be pregnant, and the skins from these unborn calves is used to make soft suede. Many people assume that leather is an incidental element of the rearing of animals for meat. It's not. It's used to produce shoes, jackets, wallets, gloves and furniture, and so purchasing leather goods helps make the rearing and killing of animals a profitable concern. Just as we have tried to end racism, sexism and ageism, we can also try to end speciesism. Enjoying a plant-based diet and vegan lifestyle is the ultimate protest against animal exploitation. It's taking action every day to reduce animal suffering and death by decreasing the demand for all animal products.
I don't like watching the animal cruelty footage, but by us watching it together, we can make a difference. We can empower ourselves by being educated what is going on and then change it.
With the mounting evidence, compassion, our health, the environment, water pollution, supporting developing countries, food security, rising population, sustainability, the rainforest. When people ask, why are you vegan? Perhaps the question should be, why aren't you? Please, make the connection.
I like being able to abstain from the negative aspects of food culture and be able to celebrate the positive ones.
Becoming vegan does not mean just changing your diet, it's caring about animals and global warming. Also, you're changing your lifestyle.
I feel wonderful being vegan. It's the best thing I've ever done.
If we want to have a lower carbon diet, we should be eating more vegan food.
I think there's misconceptions about being a vegan, which stops people exploring it, investigating it, seeing it as a possibility.
In my opinion, the real reason people eat meat and dairy is because they like the taste of it. When you look at the evidence, is that taste really worth it?
The case for veganism is so strong on a number of fronts, from the animal welfare point of view, from the health point of view, and from the environmental point of view, that I would never go back.
Food when I was pregnant was very easy. They tell you not to eat all the things that already weren't in my diet. It was brilliant. People would say to me, oh, you're having trouble, cutting out cream cheese, and it's like, no, because I don't eat it anyway.
I feel that change has to come very quickly. Time, in a way, is not on our side, but we know we have the solutions in place. We know that stock-free organic works.
So whether people are concerned about developing countries, the environment, their health, or our fellow creatures, becoming vegan is an active, positive and compassionate choice.
Yeah, I suppose maybe I do feel proud, but I've never really thought about it. But I feel lucky more proud, I think.
For the future, I hope that more people respect each other, care for the planet a little bit more, and respect animals a lot more, and just try a cruelty-free diet.
Kill for eat, for real king man. But them say swine in a them dinner. So when I got nothing there, Fire, treat the toughest way. No bones, no